Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode here. We're going to talk about the balance and struggle of handling motherhood and your health. And one of the things that happens so often and that I see happen with so many women, now this happens with men too, but it happens more for women, is the struggle and pull between wanting to take care of your health, but you also have a family to take care of. And so many times, your health takes a back seat because you feel like you need to take care of everybody else first because they come first. But the truth of the matter is that you actually come first, and I'll tell you why. And I'm sure you have heard this before. You can't pour from an empty cup, and or you shouldn't put yourself first because your kids and your spouse will always come first. And if you are in the mindset that your kids and your spouse always come first, then I will tell you straight up you're wrong. And it just depends on how you grew up, what you were taught growing up. But here's the reality: it is in our innate intuition, gut ability as a mother specifically to put everybody else first because we are nurturers. We care. So if you are someone that is like, well, I got to take care of my kids and my husband and my partner first, just know that that is an ability and something that's in the nature of who we are as women and as mothers. We are the nurturers. But what so many moms tend to forget is that you simply cannot pour from an empty cup. And so the reason that so many moms are struggling and just feel like they're losing it is because they are putting themselves on the back burner. So we're going to talk about that a bit today, and I want to give you some direction and hope that it doesn't have to be that way because you do not have to lose yourself in order to be a mother. And if you are losing yourself in this relationship and in motherhood, then it's time to find you back because you don't want to get to the place where all of a sudden your kids are leaving and going to college and you're like, oh man, like I lost myself for 20 years of my life because everything was about them. I never took care of myself. And now I'm here and I feel like I'm starting over. What happens when you do that is you lose yourself so much you don't even know who you are anymore. And so when the question gets asked, who are you? You're like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm a mother. I take care of my family and that's it. But you're barely surviving. You are surviving, but you're definitely not thriving. So we want to talk through that today. But real quick here, yesterday we started the 6 week Undiet You Reset program. This is the last one for the year of 2025. And I want to invite you in. If you have not yet enrolled in that, you still can. If you're listening to this and this is the week of October 20th, and you are listening to this and you're like, man, like I really need some help. I don't want to end this year on a low again. I want to end this year on a high, and I want to be able to go through the holidays and really enjoy the process of the holidays versus being sick and tired all the time and frustrated. And then you deal with anxiety and depression and all of that. That's not the best you. And if you are someone that's like, I just need some guidance and I need some help and I need to know like what to do, this is for you. And we just started October 20th. You can still come in. The link is going to be in the show notes. You can go in and you can enroll still and still do the full 6 weeks. It's not going to get cut off just because you came in a few days late. You can still start, and we're going to help you find yourself again. This is what this is about. And I want you to think about this. Like, this is something that will help you and it will help your entire family. I cannot tell you how many times that I help the mothers. They finally understand how to cook for themselves, how to feed themselves, and because they do that, they show up as a completely different mother, as a completely different partner, and they have way less anxiety, maybe even non-existent anxiety. Their mood is way better. Their husbands and partners enjoy being around them anymore. Their sex drive goes up, which, by the way, if you are an exhausted, burned out, tired, anxious mother, you don't have a sex drive. And that is not something that your partner enjoys. And so, one of the number one questions that I always ask the females specifically, the men too, but females specifically, when they come in and they have all these symptoms of being tired and exhausted, I'm like, so let me ask you a question. How's your sex drive? It's non existent. Okay. How does this affect your relationship? Well, I love my husband, but like I feel bad for him. Okay, now we're adding in guilt and shame because you feel bad for your partner. And that guilt and shame doesn't help you with your sex drive either, because now that's an emotion that really affects women. And so now you feel guilty and you're stressed out about that. And you're like, man, like I got to provide this for my husband as well, because I want this marriage to last. And I want a good marriage and a good sex life and feel like that's something that I want. But like I have no energy. I have literally no energy left. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted because I've poured from an empty cup all day long. And now I'm supposed to still be able to perform, because it isn't a performance. It is. It takes a lot of energy to do that. And for women, it's different. Men are so lucky. They look at something and they're like, I'm ready to go. And women are like, no, I need some time to get myself ready for this. You can't perform and you can't be that person that you want to be in your marriage and in your relationship if you are an exhausted, tired, anxious, depressed person. So it's time to take care of yourself so that you can take care of the people around you that you love. And that is part of a motherhood as well, is that you are taking care of yourself first so that you can show up for the others. So come on in, join us for the next 6 weeks. It's going to get you right on all the way through Thanksgiving, and it's going to help you feel energized, lose weight, feel amazing during the holidays, and you're going to go in a lot more confident and feeling sexy and vibrant and healthy going through the holidays, because you finally have an understanding, and that's going to create this ripple effect into your family's life. And when that creates a ripple effect into your family's life, changes everything. Your home life, your relationships, your environment, and they're going to be like, wow, who is this new person? Like, I have never known you like this before, because you were always tired and exhausted and anxious and snappy. And well, now you're fit and healthy and happy, and you're sleeping and your nervous system's regulated. And now you can show up as a happy person, mom, partner, whoever it is. This is for men too, by the way. But, primarily women come in. You can show up as that person that you want to be. And so that's what we're doing here, and it's life-changing. It's $149 for VIP. You get weekly live calls with me. And if you don't want to do a VIP, you pay $99. You just don't get the calls. So I do encourage the VIP because it does give you a lot more results per se, because you have that type of support. You can come on and ask questions and get a little bit more tailored help than if you don't have the VIP. So with that being said, on dietu.com, go to the 6-week program. We're also going to have it in the show notes. Okay, so let's dive into motherhood, and how do you even start thinking about taking care of yourself first? Well, first you have to get into the right mindset that if you put yourself first, and this is not a matter of like me, but it is a matter of taking care of you so that you can take care of the people around you. And this is really, really important. And a lot of times this comes down to mindset. And I speak with so many moms that are like, man, like my kid's schedule's crazy. Like we're so busy, it's so crazy. Well, guess what? You're always going to be busy, right? There are going to be seasons that you're going to be more busy, but your health doesn't wait, and you are a priority. And a lot of times what happens is when the mom starts putting herself on the back burner and doesn't take care of herself, it's also a form of not seeing that you are important in this season of life. And don't you want to be the type of person that you show your kids that, hey, you matter and you are important, and you're going to show up for you so that you can show up the best for them? Don't you want to be that type of person? The reason that I do what I do with my kiddo and the type of lifestyle that I show for my kiddo is because I want to show him that mom cares about herself, not in terms of like, hey, I'm just selfish about me, but mom cares enough about her health and who she is and how she can show up. She cares enough for that that she's going to put herself first and make sure that she takes care of herself, feeds herself well, exercises. I take him to the gym with me and he sees me exercising. And he sees that, and because of that, I can show up better. I have had moments where I wasn't able to fully take care of myself in the way that I wanted to, just because life happens sometimes, and you have to like forgive yourself for that because life happens sometimes, and you just don't get to the gym as much or whatever the case may be. And when that happens, I find myself shorter with him, less patient with him. And when I am shorter with him and less patient with him, well, guess what? That rolls over into his attitude towards me, how he's receiving me. He thinks that I don't love him because I'm being snappy. And he will literally tell me, like, you snapped at me. And then I have to go and apologize because I did snap at him. And it usually isn't because, now this doesn't happen very often, but as a parent, we all know that this stuff happens and we all have our moments. So that is why it is so important. So you have to ask yourself this question, why am I doing this? So if you are someone that has, you're like, man, like I really want to take care of myself, but you feel selfish. Why do you feel selfish in the first place? Who told you that it's selfish for you to take care of yourself first? Who? Who told you that? Was it you? And you told yourself from the time you were a little girl? Or was it someone in your life that was like, you can't ever put yourself first based on their actions? So did your parents put themselves first and took care of themselves? Or did they neglect their health? Because a form of neglecting your own health as your kids are growing up is you showing them that you don't care enough about yourself. So you're gonna, put them first. But because you're showing that you're neglecting your health, you don't feel well, you're complaining about how you feel, you can't go play with them. They want you to go play with them, run around with them. And because you've neglected your health, you can't do that. And so now you're modeling that that's the life that it is to be a parent, but you can't show up to be the person that you truly want to be with them. I tell you what, when I go on to a public place or a playground or whatever with my kiddo, something that happens, it's 100% guaranteed that this happens each time. I am rarely ever going to be the parent that is sitting on the sideline not doing anything. Number one, because my kid won't let me, because he knows that I'm capable of running around and playing. Well, what that does is it creates this magnet to other kids. So typically, I'm the one that's out on the playground with all the other parents' kids while they're sitting on the sideline. Now, I'm not talking bad about the parents, but what I'm showing you and telling you is this picture of showing, like, okay, all of a sudden, these kids see someone that's an adult and it's a parent of another kid, and they're like, wait a minute, like this person is out there roughing around, playing around, chasing, tagging, doing all kinds of games and stuff with the kiddos. And that's what the kids want. So could you imagine if those kids saw that from their parents, but instead their parents are sitting on the sideline just watching their kids play and not participating? Now, I'm not saying that you have to do that every single time, but what I'm saying is if you're not taking care of yourself and you don't feel well, you can't do that. And therefore, you're modeling that that's just how life is with them. But in reality, is they actually want you to be out there and playing with them because that's where you make the memories. And the question that I always ask myself is, do I want my kid to remember me on the sideline looking at my phone, not paying attention? Or do I want my kid to remember me taking him outside and playing and being hands-on? How do I want him to remember this and experience, this life? So that's part of what I'm talking about here is what does it look like to put yourself first? Okay. So let's paint a picture here of what a day can look like for you to make sure that you're gonna, because this happens so many times with my clients, mom clients specifically, when I'm like, listen, you have kids and you are tired and you are busy, but let me tell you something, you're always going to be busy if you have kids. That's just a given, right? And so let's make sure that we have you feeling good so that you feel grounded and in a good place to take on the stressors and busyness of the day. So if you get up in the morning and the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is look at your phone and you're on a rat race as soon as you get up. You're like, all right, I gotta get up, I gotta make breakfast for the kids, gotta get them dressed. You maybe drink some coffee, whatever the case may be, and you get the kids all, off to school or started in homeschool, and you've taken care of all of them, and you haven't even brushed your teeth. Well, you haven't done anything of type of self-care to even help yourself, but you've taken care of everybody else. Okay. So how do you feel after all of that? You're like, oh, finally. But then by that point, you're like, well, I just need to like sit down and maybe turn on a show or, scroll social media for a bit because I need to decompress. But then when you do that, you scroll social or you watch a show or whatever the case may be. I can imagine like watching a show during the day, unless it's the weekend. That's a story for another day. But you do that, you still haven't taken care of yourself. Okay. Now you may feel like you're decompressing by scrolling, but what you're actually doing is you're continuing to feed your nervous system with dysregulation. And now all of a sudden it's an hour later and you're like, oh man, like I haven't even done anything. And so now you're anxious and you haven't even really eaten anything, and the cycle continues, and it's just you get lunch for the kids, and then maybe if the kids are at home, and then you have the afternoon, and then your husband comes home and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, but I got to make dinner. So you guys have dinner, and then it's time to put the kids to bed, and you put the kids to bed, and now you're supposed to like have time and energy for your husband, but you don't have any time and energy for your husband because you haven't taken care of yourself. And this is just a cycle that happens over and over and over. So let's flip the switch here and talk about what can it actually look like when you take care of yourself first. All right. You get up in the morning and you get up at a time that gives you at least an hour before the kids get up. This also means that you need to get your butt to bed when it's time for you to go to bed, not staying up super late, scrolling, watching TV, where you go to bed and you get 5 hours of sleep. No, this means you get your butt to bed and you make sure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep early enough so that you can get up in the morning and you have your me time in the morning before the kids get up. Okay. So you do that. Let's say your kids get up at 7, give or take, and you get up at 6. All right. So you get up at 6, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, and maybe you do a workout or maybe you do a walk, whatever the case may be. I don't know your situation, but let's just say that's what you do. Then you get yourself some breakfast. And maybe you also have some prayer time, some reading time, some quiet time to yourself. You do some breath work to regulate your nervous system. You get your breakfast in, and then your kids get up. How different would you feel if you were to do that versus getting up and it's boom, 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 everybody else before you've done anything else? I guarantee you 1000%, if you do that and you practice that, your day will go so much better because you've taken the time to fill your cup. And now, when you are taking care of the people that you love, you're pouring from a full cup, not an empty cup, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You're going to be less anxious. You're going to be less snappy. You're going to be grounded. You're going to be able to take a breath when things get difficult with the kiddos and be like, let me take a deep breath here. Okay, we're good. We can handle this. The number one thing that people need to remember is this: you cannot function well on a dysregulated nervous system. When you have a dysregulated nervous system, meaning your adrenals are not supported, your adrenals are shot, whatever the case may be, you have stress or you have anxiety, that's not a regulated nervous system, and you have brain fog and you're malnourished because you're not eating enough, you're running on caffeine, like all of those things, you cannot function stable as a human being. I went to see my chiropractor yesterday. And she treats a lot of women primarily. I think it's primarily women and kids. And she was telling me that she has a huge percentage, probably about 90% of her clientele are women with, multiple kids, bigger families. And she said only two families out of the entire clientele that she has now. This is a chiropractor that is very busy all the time. Like if you want to try to get in, it might be weeks before you get in as a new patient. And she said she can think of two families, two moms out of all of the moms that have big families that come see her, or even two kids, sometimes three, but we were also talking about like five kids or more. Only two out of all of the clientele that she sees with families that are big are actually happy moms. They're actually happy. The rest, it's chaos. They're going crazy. They have anxiety. They have depression. They don't know like what's happening with them. There's all this pressure on them to be perfect, keep up with the Joneses, have big families. But guess what? They have big families with no support. So they're saying, hey, we're going to have big families because that's what our religion or church is saying, like have big families, but there's no support behind it. It's just the moms. And so, do you have support? And if you don't have support, you need to get support. That support needs to come from somewhere. It takes a village, not one person. And in today's world, there is so much pressure on moms to show how much you can do as a mom. So you're super mom, right? You are not designed to handle everything on your own. Number one, the dad needs to be there. Even if he's working during the day, when he gets home, he needs to be there and helping. Take over, whatever it is. They're your kids. Help out. Mom has been with them all day. There's no job harder than being a mom. Absolutely not. No, I love being a mom. I think it's amazing being a mom. And I think that one of the reasons why I can say that is because from the moment he was born, I decided there is not one stage I'm not going to enjoy. From the moment he was born, I said I'm going to enjoy every single stage of this child. Some stages might be a little bit harder than others, but I'm going to find the silver lining and I'm going to enjoy it. So I was never the type of person that said, oh my gosh, I can't wait till this stage is over. When he was a tiny baby and newborn in the first year, I remember my ex-husband now, he would be like, I can't wait until he's like talking and I can go play with him and stuff. And I was like, listen, when that stage comes, you're going to be like, I can't wait until he's able to do this and able to do that. And I said, so I encourage you to just embrace this current stage and not push, because he's going to grow up real fast and you're going to be like, man, that went by way too fast. So I encouraged him and I was like, I'm not going to be one of those parents that says, hey, I can't wait until, I can't wait until. No, I decided to rephrase everything and be like, I'm so excited about this stage. I love this stage. Like when he was 2, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love this stage. When he was 3, I was like, this is amazing. When he was 4, I was like, I love this stage. I'm still saying that, and he's almost about to turn 7. I'm still saying that. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. And the reason for that is I intentionally look at every growth level that he's going through. So, I'm going, okay, I'm seeing this growth in him. All right, he's 6.5. I kind of know like what's happening when they're 7. There's another transition that happens. I'm still learning a lot too. There's a lot I do not have figured out because this is my first time being a parent. There is no blueprint on how to be a parent. But you can make it as hard as you want for yourself, or you can make it as easy as you want for yourself. You have a choice. But what I want to emphasize here so heavily, moms, so heavily, you do not have to do it all by yourself. Number one. Number two, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself first. And this is almost like forbidden food for moms. The forbidden food of taking care of yourself first. That's what it feels like. But that's not how it's supposed to be. So fuel and nourish yourself first. Get your butt to bed, like I said, when you need to. Stop scrolling. Nothing that you're seeing when you're scrolling is as important as your sleep. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No show or movie is as important as your sleep. Absolutely not. That's not going to help you heal. Sleeping is when you heal. Nothing of that matter is as important as your sleep. Then you get yourself up in time where you have time for yourself before your kids get up. Now, listen, I know there's stages. So if you have a 1 year old, if you have a newborn that's not sleeping through the night, if there are those types of stages where it's like, hey, my kid's waking up every few hours. Well, then also, if your kid is waking up every few hours, you need to get yourself to bed even more so. Well, that was one of my rules that I had when he was little, like tiny baby. Like I knew that he was going to be up, every few hours. I would sometimes be in bed by 7:30 at night. I'd just be like, I'm going to bed. My rule was my phone was turned off at 7 p.m. and I went to bed at 7:30 because I wanted to get sleep. And I wanted to get at least 4 to 5 hours of sleep before I knew that he was going to get up. And that's what helped me be able to even function. So fill your cup and then you can fill the others. There's always this pull, and I know you guys feel it. There's this pull and this struggle of like, how do I do this? And there's so many moms that I've worked with that they go through a stage where they're like, my kids have sports, and every night we are at a sports game because they have baseball, and then they have softball, and then they have soccer, and they have all these things, and we don't get home until this time. And I don't know, we're stopping for fast food on the way home or whatever it is. And here's the number one thing is like, if that's happening, that also just means you're not planning. You got to plan. The busier you are, the more you have on your schedule, the more you need to plan. And planning creates structure. And with structure, it alleviates chaos and anxiety. So if you don't have structure, you have chaos. So if you are busy, and you have a busy schedule, like you have a structured schedule, right? With your sports, with your work, you have structure there. You're like, this is when I clock in. This is when I clock out. This is what time the game's on. All right, I guess I'll show up to that structure because that's scheduled out and that's structure with that. But the rest of your life is all chaos because you haven't taken the time to structure anything. And so your work and your games and all the schedule outside of your own self and health is actually controlling your life. And this is what's causing chaos and anxiety. And so you got to take control of your life and say, okay, this stuff, I'm following the structure and the schedule of that, but this is all over the place. And so you got to get to the place where you say, okay, I'm going to create structure around my meals, around my bedtime, and how I take care of myself. And when you do that, everything else does not feel so overwhelming. Motherhood is way more fun. You're way happier. So you gotta take care of yourself because you'll be way happier. You'll be a happier person for yourself. You'll be happier for a mother for your kids. And you'll be happier as a wife or partner to your spouse. And they will start seeing that and then be like, wow, I like this version of you. So I need you to take care of yourself. I've literally had husbands and kids say, like, we like this version of you and we need you to take care of yourself because you're more fun to be around. Now, that's not a compliment and a sign of saying, like, mother, take care of yourself. We like this version of you. And it's not that they didn't love the other version, but you were neglecting yourself. So the clue here is to stop neglecting yourself and take care of yourself because you want to be that person that shows up for them in that way. And you'll be able to teach them and educate them. So when it comes to motherhood and that struggle and that pull, the number one thing that I want to tell you here, be selfish with your time. Be selfish with your time that you need to take care of yourself. And what that means is because you're selfish with your time, even if it's an hour a day where you are able to get yourself set up and grounded and ready, because of you doing that, everything else is a ripple effect into your life, your family's life, and you'll be way happier. So, to motherhood and to taking care of yourself. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning into the Lizzie Ens Show. If you're ready to take the next step to transforming your health and life, visit www.undietyou.com for all my resources and to book your consultation today. Don't forget to subscribe and join me each week for more tips, inspiration, and conversations with phenomenal guests to help you feel your best. See you guys next week.